What do you do when every system built to protect you has already failed? And the only person who can fix it is the one who broke it. Not a stranger. Not an enemy. The man who was supposed to be family. The man who brought you in, buried two of his sons, made you a promise, sent you away, and quietly decided he was never going to keep it. Tamar had done everything asked of her. She had married into a family. She had lost 2 husbands. She had gone back to her father's house and waited, the way she was supposed to wait, for a promise that was never coming. And when she finally understood what Judah had decided, that she was too dangerous to give his 3rd son to, that the plan was to let her sit there until everyone forgot, she made a choice that changed the entire family line. She did not wait to be rescued. She rescued herself. This is one of the most uncomfortable stories in Genesis. It is also one of the most important. It begins with a man making decisions he had no intention of being held to. To understand Tamar, you have to understand Judah. Judah was Jacob's 4th son, one of the 12 brothers, the one who had said, when the brothers were deciding what to do with Joseph, "Sell him, do not kill him," the one who walked away from that field carrying it. He eventually separated from his brothers and went to live near a Canaanite man named Hira. He married a Canaanite woman. They had 3 sons, Onan, and Shelah. When was old enough, Judah found him a wife. Her name was Tamar. The Bible tells us almost nothing about who Tamar was before this moment. No background, no description, no history beyond the fact that she existed. She enters the story as his wife, a woman placed by marriage into a family she had not chosen, in a world where her entire future depended entirely on what that family decided to do with her. Was wicked in God's sight, and God put him to death. The text does not say what did, just that it was serious enough. Tamar was a widow before her life with her husband had found its shape. In that world, there was a legal protection built for exactly this situation. Levirate marriage. When a man died without children, his brother was obligated to marry the widow and father children with her, children who would carry the dead man's name and keep his line alive. It was not romantic, it was structural, a way of making sure a woman was not simply abandoned when the man she had been joined to was gone. Judah told his 2nd son Onan, "Go to your brother's wife and do your duty by her. Give her children for your brother." Onan understood that any children would carry name, not his, so he made sure no children would come from the arrangement. He took what the situation offered and withheld what it required. God put him to death as well. 2 sons gone, both while married to Tamar. 1 son left, Shelah, the youngest. Judah looked at Tamar. He said one thing and thought another. He said, "Go back to your father's house as a widow until my son Shelah is old enough." He thought, "I am afraid he will die too, like the others." He sent her away with a promise as cover. "When Shelah grows up, he will marry you." But the promise was not real. He was afraid of this woman who had been there when 2 of his sons died, and he was not putting his 3rd son anywhere near her. Tamar went to her father's house and waited. Shelah grew up. Judah did not send for her. Time passed. Judah's wife died. He mourned. When the mourning was over, he went up to Timnah with his friend Hira for the sheep shearing. Someone told Tamar, "Your father-in-law is on his way to Timnah." She had been watching. She had been waiting. And now she understood clearly what she had perhaps suspected for some time. Shelah was grown and she had not been called for. The promise was not coming. Judah had decided to let the whole thing disappear through silence rather than face what he owed her. She took off her widow's clothes. She covered herself with a veil. She sat down at the entrance to Enaim, on the road to Timnah. What she did next is the part of the story that makes people uncomfortable. It should. Tamar positioned herself by the road dressed in a way that would make Judah think she was a prostitute. Judah saw her. Her face was covered, and he did not recognize her. He went to her. She asked, "What will you give me?" He offered a young goat. She said, "Give me something as a pledge until you send it." He asked what she wanted. She said, "Your seal and its cord, and the staff in your hand." He gave them to her. She became pregnant. Then she left. She took off the veil. She put her widow's clothes back on. Judah sent his friend with the goat to retrieve what he had left. The friend could not find the woman. He asked around. The men of the place said there had been no prostitute at Anaim. He went back to Judah. I could not find her. Nobody there remembers her. Judah said, let her keep the things. We will look like fools if we keep asking. I kept my end. The matter was dropped. About 3 months later, someone told Judah, your daughter-in-law Tamar has been acting like a prostitute. She is pregnant. Judah did not ask questions. He did not investigate. He said, bring her out and burn her. As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law. I am pregnant by the man who owns these. Tell me, do you recognize this seal, this cord, this staff? Judah recognized them. The Bible records what he said next in one of the quietest, most devastating sentences in all of Genesis. She is more righteous than I am. I would not give her to my son Shelah. He did not look for a way around it. He did not find language that let him punish her anyway. He held his own seal in his hand and said the true thing, out loud, in front of the people who had been about to carry out his sentence. He reversed his own verdict. Not because anyone made him, because the evidence was unanswerable and something in him chose honesty over survival. He did not sleep with her again. But he acknowledged what had happened. Tamar gave birth to twin sons, Perez and Zerah. Perez, the firstborn, entered the genealogy that would run through the generations to David, and through David to Jesus. The woman Judah had discarded, the woman he had sentenced to death. Her son carried the line that the whole story had been moving toward. 4 things stay with me. The first, the system failed Tamar completely, and she acted anyway. Levirate marriage existed for exactly her situation. 2 husbands dead. No children. No future. The law said the family owed her something. Judah had made a promise. Both were being quietly forgotten, with Tamar expected to sit in her father's house growing older, while Judah waited for the inconvenience to fade. She looked at what she was owed, looked at the only path she could see to claim it, and walked into the most dangerous thing she could have done. She risked her life, and she was vindicated. There are moments when the structures that exist to protect people simply stop working. When the person responsible for keeping the promise decides that silence is easier than accountability. Tamar's story does not tell you to do what she did. It tells you that God was watching what was happening to her. That the woman the system had quietly erased became the one who exposed the man running the system. The second, Judah's acknowledgement is one of the most significant moments of moral honesty in all of Genesis. He had power. He had already given the sentence. The crowd was ready to carry it out. Then the evidence appeared in his own hand, his seal, his cord, his staff, and he had a choice. Explain it away. Let the punishment stand and manage the awkwardness privately. Or say the true thing. She is more righteous than I am. He said the true thing. In public. At the moment when saying it cost him the most. That is not the performance of regret in a controlled setting. That is looking at what you did with everyone watching and naming it correctly when every instinct says to find another way out. The third, God builds his story with the people that every other story leaves out. Tamar should not appear in this genealogy by any standard. Her world used to decide who mattered, a twice-widowed Canaanite woman, discarded by her father-in-law, who had done something that made her eligible for execution. And her son Perez is in the line of David. And Matthew's Gospel, the very first page of the New Testament, opens with a genealogy and puts her name in it, Tamar. There, among the ancestors of Jesus, God does not construct his story from the people who had everything arranged in their favor. He constructs it from the ones nobody expected, the ones who were written off, the ones who had no options and made something from nothing. Tamar was not included despite what happened to her. She was included because of who she was inside it. The fourth, sometimes the person who was wronged has to be the one who brings the truth into the room. Tamar had nowhere to appeal. There was no authority above Judah she could go to. The only way to make him face what he had done was to place the evidence directly in his hands at the exact moment he was about to destroy her. She was not doing it to shame him. She was doing it to Sirach. And the evidence she put in front of him was the kind that cannot be argued with. his seal, his cord, his staff. There are situations where the only road to justice is the most exposed one, where the person who was wronged has to be the one who walks forward with the evidence when the risk of doing so is everything. Tamar walked forward, and the man who had wronged her looked at what she placed before him and said the only honest thing left to say, "She is more righteous than I am." He was right. Based on Genesis 38,